Chain smoke your problems away. Smokepit Fairy Tales, Part 4. Chapter 32. Back from the Kettle. Thatch hated himself for what he'd said to Simoom. He told himself it was for the best. She would have only found another way to break his heart if he'd let her back in. He knew she'd never change. She'd never be loyal to him. She just wants to do things for herself, with no regard for the collaterally damaged people she left dying in the ditch. Thatch wondered if he'd been too hard on her. Perhaps his words were too harsh. He didn't need to hurt her feelings. He certainly didn't want to. Thatch regretted simply not telling her never to talk to him again without the bereavement. He couldn't stand that the last image he had of Simoom was her crying in the hallway, but what could he do? Thatch rolled over and held his pillow like it was a woman, like it was her, and tried to go to sleep without crying. How could he have said that to her? He beat his mind with his fist. How could he have said that to someone he claimed to love? He wallowed in his own anguish until the thought crossed his mind of the last time they broke it off, and not more than a few hours later she was already out the door with another man. It didn't make him feel any better, but it did force him to get out of bed and stop feeling sorry for himself. There wasn't anything he felt like doing besides maybe never waking up from sleep. He turned on the light, pulled out his sketch pad, and started scrawling down anything that could take his mind off of Simoom. Thatch drew for hours, all working on the same piece. The paper showed a crying mermaid sinking into the deep blue abyss of Mars's northern ocean. Her hair flowed to the surface, and a shattered and singed likeness of Thatch's first painting for Simoom sank beside her. Thatch closed the notebook and walked outside. He fished for a cigarette out of his pack and propped himself up against the wall as he smoked. He checked his phone. No messages awaited him, but the date said that there were only a few days left before he could go on leave. He needed to get out of town for a bit. Maybe go to Vegas and blow off his steam on hookers and whiskey. Digging around for another cigarette to smoke, he realized that he had been staring through the opposite barracks window of Simoom's door. Thatch lit his smoke and walked to the opposite side of the building to deny himself the opportunity to see her in any fashion. He was halfway through burning his smoke when Duke came running towards the barracks.
Hey, good afternoon, Staff Sergeant.
Duke stopped.
Allensworth, get your Marines back to base and have them at the battalion at 1900.
Oh, wait, what's going on?
Bad shit, pass the word.
Duke entered the barracks and started knocking on doors. Shortly after, the other platoon sergeants from the battalion followed in. Thatch called his squad leaders, his junior Marines, then a con. He shaved, threw on his uniform, and made his way up to the battalion headquarters.
So what's going on?
Chuck asked when he showed up. Thatch shook his head.
No idea. Staff Sergeant just said it was bad.
Bad enough they're calling in the whole battalion on an off day?
Yeah, looks like it.
Thatch stood by a bench in front of the double glass doors on the face of the red brick building.
What do you think it could be?
It could be anything. I haven't seen them do this for DUIs or anything, but maybe one of the boots killed a hooker or set a building on fire and they're gonna restrict our liberty or something.
God, that would suck.
Chuck pulled out his smokes.
Or someone could have died.
Chuck blurted out as soon as he realized that was a possibility.
Shit, I didn't even think of that.
Stockton and Mackenzie strolled up to the building with half of a squad in tow.
You hear anything?
Nope.
Thatch shook his head. He checked his watch. They still had half an hour. Thatch did a head count and waited for the last few of his Marines to show up.
Where are we forming up?
Thatch asked when Duke arrived.
In the theater. Have you seen O'Con?
Not yet, Staff Sergeant, but she's driving in from town.
Duke grumbled and walked inside.
All right, Marines, start heading in.
The battalion was seated. Lieutenant Colonel Santorino stepped on the stage and faced his Marines.
Good evening, Marines.
Good evening,
sir.
I'm sure you're wondering why you were called in on your day off this recently off deployment.
He took a deep breath and let out a stern sigh.
I have bad news, worse news. Firstly, post-deployment leave has been canceled.
The battalion was belligerently silent. Not even a creak in a shifting seat could be heard.
Secondly, the naval war with the Russians is becoming a ground war.
Santorino looked to a Marine manning a computer at the side of the stage.
Slide, please.
An image of a tubular, disc-shaped space station appeared on the theater screen behind the commander.
Marines, this is Volgograd Island. Sitting alone at Venusian Lagrange Point 3, the space station houses a Russian biological weapons facility in which a weapon designed to end human life on Mars has been developed. Next slide.
Santorino signaled for the next slide. A crude breakdown that looked more like a pie chart with extra scribbles than blueprints appeared behind him.
We've gathered that the Russians are intending to use this biological agent we've codenamed Hebenon. Whatever it is, to eradicate the Americans on this planet without destroying the infrastructure, then move in after a short cleanup. We've been given no information on this Hebenon agent except that we are to retrieve it and hand it to our reachers researchers so they can develop an inoculation.
The colonel paced across the stage, and a slide depicting the colony's defensive perimeter appeared.
Volgograd is lightly defended. There's a small flotilla comprised of 1 battleship and 2 cruisers set to defend the island, and a single battalion on the interior. Our battalion will be aboard the Bonham Rashad. From Martian orbit, we will link up with an attack fleet of 5 cruisers, 8 destroyers, 5 subs, and 3 amphibious ready groups, each carrying a regiment. We have the Russian Navy severely outgunned. Our ships of the line will engage and destroy the flotilla, while the ARGs push through to the colonies. Next from the Mew, we'll make landing on the central disk, securing a beachhead where our troop ships will land the Marines.
The colonel looked at the screen behind him, then back to his battalion.
As you can see, Volgograd Island is split into sections internally. This disk in the center of the donut serves as a port with our 4 spokes leading inside the colony itself. The north spoke leads directly to the weapons facility. Each goes to the garrison west, heads to the housing, and south leads to the colony's farms. 5th Marines will hit the disk first with the mechs to secure the position and block off the spokes. After they're in place, 1st Marines will land and push directly to the bioweapons facility. 7th Marines will hold in reserve just off the colony. Now when we're in there, our mission is to grab samples of the weapons and leave. We're not going to get bogged down in a fight with the Russians. We're going to pin them down inside their garrison at choke points, and for the most part, bypass them entirely. I wouldn't expect them to start flooding in the facility to confront us.
The slide changed to a zoomed-in image of the crude colony map.
After we're up the spoke, 3rd Battalion is going to form a defensive line in the northwest forest wing between the facility and the housing area. 1st Battalion will do the same between the facility and the garrison, and 2nd Battalion will perform the raid, grabbing the bioweapons.
Santorino gave his battalion a stern look.
Marines, we'll be leaving for the BHR tonight. Tomorrow morning, we will load into Star Knight while in Martian orbit and travel to near light speed directly to Volgograd. I know we just returned from deployment, and this is extremely short fuse. No one ever said service was convenient. Go kiss your loved ones goodbye and be on the parade deck with your gear in 3 hours. If all goes well, we'll be back home in a few days. We're predicting a week at most.
The battalion sergeant major called.
Attention on deck!
The Marines jumped up while the colonel walked off the stage.
You heard him, Marines.
Thatch ordered his squad leaders to get the Marines ready to move and lit a cigarette outside of the battalion building.
This whole thing is fucked. What's worse about it is that modern medicine has advanced as much as it has.
What the fuck are you talking about?
If it was 20 or 10 years ago, I'd still be in the hospital from when I was shot. But no, they had to heal me in a week. Fucking scientists genetically engineering pigs that have human body parts to harvest and shit.
It was longer than that.
Okay, 10 days. But still.
Yep, welcome to the suck.
I guess it's a good thing that I never unpacked.
Hey everybody, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to another chapter. So things are about to heat up, huh? Yeah, it's going where you think it's going. Moving into the final arc. I mean, we still got a bit in that final arc, but we're moving into the realm of it. Because, like, what happened in this book? You know, they go to space, they go on a space mew, they come back from the space mew, and Thatch gets entangled with some for a bit, and then they go on another space mew, they get caught up with some hookers, they fight the Russians for a bit, they come back to Mars, and, you know, things seem like they might be settling in, and then, get everybody and the guys together. Okay? 3, 2, 1. Let's dance. If you haven't picked it up, there's a monumental amount of Cowboy Bebop fucking references in this entire series. But anyway, I'd like to thank the Patreon people who, you know, get these chapters as I get done with them. I'd like to thank the YouTube channel members who get these videos as I upload them to YouTube. They don't have to wait till Wednesdays. And I'd like to thank the people who have gotten the War Chest, which is the box set of these books. It comes with stickers and a card and a patch. Wait, no. Stickers and cards and a patch. It's all on a custom painted 50 cal ammo can, and I put a little pin in this map for where they go. Trying to get one to every state. I don't know how to incentivize that to happen, but if you have any ideas, you let me know. I'm recording this one a little bit early. I'm recording this one the same day I'm recording the one for the previous chapter. So who knows what has happened in the last week and a half. But in the last video, I asked, and I'm going to ask you again, like, if anybody's got any ideas for what to do to get a war chest in every state, let me know in the comments, because I want to know. I'm trying to brainstorm something, you know, that would work. Like, one of the irritations I have, you know, doing this kind of thing, and I know some other people that do this sort of thing also have this vexation, and it doesn't come from, well, it doesn't come from like a place of hate or anything. You know, people are trying to help out, but there's so many people that are like, hey, you should do this. right? Like, hey, I have an idea. Let me share my idea with you. And like 9 times out of 10, it's something I tried before and it didn't work, or it's something that I just blatantly can't afford. Like, for example, with the later one, like would be like stuff in marketing and advertisement where it's like, hey, you know, if you want to do X, you got to do, you know, Y. That's neat, but Y costs 10 grand, you know, that kind of thing. But like other things that like don't work are like, hey, you have a sale, mark some things down. Nobody gives a shit. It's funny to me that like, cause you know, I also have paintings and stuff on my site too, you know, just cause, you know, I like to paint. I'm sure you guys know this by now. I'm a big art guy, but most of the time when I have a sale, yeah, there'll be a few people that, you know, go buy stuff for that. But besides those few people, you know, sales drop and then like they don't pick up again until like after the sale's over. I don't know how or why that works. I guess psychological thing where they're like, well, if it can be sold for cheap, why buy it? I don't know. That's just a guess. Or like another one is people will be like, hey, you should go on this podcast or this TV show. Like, yeah, let me call my agent and take care of that. But anyway, if you've got an idea, the point I'm getting at is I'm looking for ideas, but they gotta be like out the box ideas, but also feasible. Like I remember one time right after the first book came out, someone who didn't read the damn thing was trying to give me advice on it. They were trying to say that I should take all the short stories that are in the Smokepit Fairy Tales book, at which point like I kind of checked out because Smokepit Fairy Tales isn't a bunch of short stories, but whatever. But I should try to get them, like get each of those individual stories like printed out and put in cigarette packs. Like, yeah, cool. I guess that's an idea. Let me call Philip Morris and be like, hey, you guys should print my book on the back of your packs. You know, because that's a fucking option. But we will figure something out once we get a war chest in every state. And then what do we do once we get a war chest in every state? What kind of event do we have? Do we have a party? Do we have a celebration? Do we have like a big long live stream? Is it simpler than that? Is it grander than that? I don't know, but I would like to hear your thoughts. All right, I've rambled enough. Oh, damn, this video is long. Okay, all right. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Thank you again, Patreon people. Thank you again, war chest people. Thank you, YouTube channel subscriber people. And thank you for turning in and watching. All right, I'll see you later. Here are your bloopers. All these chapters have bloopers, I think. Yeah, it'll be fine. All right, you have a good one.
Test, test, test! Test, 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 test! Hey, test motherfuckers! Yeah, I'll talk for a second and then we can listen back to it, and I'll turn off my microphone and you can see if you can hear him in the mix.
Test, test, test. How we testing?
Thatch hated himself for what he'd said to Simoom. Oh, wait, I have to introduce the chapter. Chuck hated himself for the way he introduced this chapter.
Did I mumble that? Probably.
Ba, 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 ba.
I guess it's a good thing that I never unpack. Am I saying it the same? Probably.
Regrets. No regrets.
I don't know why you're not wearing knee-high socks. I wear them all the time, and I absolutely get laid.
Thatch regretted simply not telling her to never talk to him again. Never to talk to him again. Stop, like, improvising. Just fucking read. Yeah, right? Fuck!
Chapter 32. Back from the Kettle.
Duke. Oh, no, not Duke. Thatch. I lied! Ah, ha, ha, gotcha!
Good evening, sir. 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 Santorino again.
Maybe Simoom went off and killed herself. That's what they finished the announcement with. Yeah, that's what they finished the announcement off with. We're going to war. Libo's canceled, and Simoom killed herself. In order of importance to me.
I'm sure you're wondering why you were called in on your day off this recently. Holy fuck, how did I fuck that up?
Big fuck you paragraph. Oh no, a lot of it's dialogue. Sweet.
The battalion is belligerently silent. Okay. I think this is the long diatribe.
Cigarette! I said it right that time, too! You just wanted to trip me up! Bastard!
Marines, this is Volgograd Island. Sitting alone in the Venusian grenade point? The fuck is a grenade point? That's where you point your grenades to throw them, but I have to start this over again.
Cool! Alright, that concludes a chapter.